Having debunked some myth about Italy in the previous part, I headed further north to visit my friend. Daniela was running late, so I decided to take a walk along the streets of her town, Cologna Veneta. There is no place for law here. Is of course more characteristic of southern Italy, but the north hasn't escaped the infamous Italian corruption either. Cologna Veneta used to be a port. Here, where we are now, there used to be a river. Sailors have arrived here, entertained themselves with women, and children were born who were later given funny names, well, like Cipollino, Cicciolo. This is a historical square. However, the restaurant owner behind me set up a summer terrace right on the historical square, and that's because your friend is the mayor of the town. The favorite tool of a collectivist is taxes, and taxes in Italy are a very sad affair, a sarcastic dialogue between two Italians. You say the problem in Italy is the large number of taxes. It's true. You can't imagine how difficult it is to avoid them all. Italy ranks 135th in the world in terms of how well its tax system stimulates investment. It's the 7th highest taxed country in Europe after France, Belgium, Denmark, Sweden, Finland and Austria. Italy is the 3rd highest in the world in terms of tax burden on the average family. Italians spend more than half of their time working to pay taxes. Daniela, how do you assess the situation with economic freedom in Italy over the past 18 years since you moved here from Bosnia? The situation has worsened significantly. There are more inspections, more restrictions, they want more control, a lot more physical documents instead of digital ones. There is a popular book right now called Italy No Longer Exists. Is it true that it no longer exists? I think Italy still exists, but in a few years it won't. Why? Why? For example, yesterday a pizzeria that was doing very well and where I wanted to order pizza for us has closed because it couldn't find workers. Because if they officially employ staff and pay all the taxes, they can't survive. If they raise the price of pizza, no one will come to buy it. And they closed. And they posted a sign outside, closed due to lack of staff. Because previously everyone worked illegally, but now they can't do that. Has the control increased? Absolutely. They often say that they are reducing taxes, but they introduce new laws and regulations that increase taxation. For example, they introduced PEC, electronic invoicing, which was supposed to make taxation easier. But now we pay more both for PEC itself and for the accountant who manages it. They cut from one side and add bureaucratic obstacles from the other. Is the idea of a united Europe strong in Italy? Absolutely not. Perhaps from a commercial point of view, it would have been harder to trade without Europe initially. But once the right path were found, the profitability of companies would have been higher due to lower taxes. Now, the more I sell, the more taxes I pay. Little improves for me. I don't see a future. I see that in 10 years I will close down. Go to Montagnana to see old Boretti. Listen to someone with experience. Montagnana. The problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money. Italy, as a part of the United Europe, caught the wave of populism and increased tax pressure. As a result, small and medium-sized entrepreneurs went underground. Goods that are not very expensive are usually sold here for cash. In other words, if you don't have that option, you're not competitive. Moreover, if you import goods from outside the European Union, for example from Ukraine, you lose out on VAT. In Italy it's 22%, and there is already a proposal on the Senator's table to raise the rate to 24%. A key phrase when buying something in Italy: serve la fattura. Do you need an invoice? No, la fattura non serve. Yes, I am one of you, I understand the taxes are high, and I can pay in cash. Europe in the fire of populism is when in Italy you pay taxes in advance. For example, VAT in Italy is paid in advance, based on the VAT paid in the previous year. Europe in the fire of populism is when in Italy businesses cannot set the salary for an employee as they wish, but do so according to the limits set by the government on a national level for each category of workers. And of course, the rules that are constantly changing. For example, a few years ago, electronic invoicing was introduced. Every transaction made at the cash register must be registered in a special application within 1 week after the sale. And how do you explain this to wholesale buyers who don't know how to use a computer? In a small Italian town of Montagnana lives and works old Boretti, known for his wisdom and ability to predict the weather by the movement of goods in his warehouse. Today, he decided to share his views on the state of affairs. We are in a deep crisis here. Prices have skyrocketed everywhere. From October, electricity prices are going up by 40%, and the same goes for gas, for everything. All the factories have left Italy. Even Fiat has closed its production. Their administration has now moved to the Netherlands. Many manufacturing plants have shut down and moved away. For me, the European Union is not a good thing. Listen to my wife. Listen, I've been here for over 20 years. 20 years ago, for 100 euros, I could completely fill 1 or even 2 shopping carts with groceries. Now, for 100 euros, you can barely put anything in your cart. I used to buy oil for 80 cents, and now it costs €1.75. And I'm talking about sunflower oil, not anything of extra quality. So you think that being part of the European Union has led to higher prices? I think yes, because even her father from Romania, when Romania became an EU member, they celebrated. Her father said, "This will bring hunger. Europe will bring hunger." Even we, in Italy, had everything. We had manufacturing, we had our resources, and now many people have gone bankrupt. Why did they go bankrupt? Because of taxes? Because of taxes, and many were also cheated. Listen, about fraud. Regarding bank transfers, I don't want to do it. When the goods arrive, I pay. Because this has happened to many people. They made a bank transfer and the goods never arrived. Lawyers, courts and so on, these are all additional expenses. Suppliers bring the goods here. When they arrive, I unload and pay. We call each other, everything is fine, it suits me, it suits you. But people always pay in cash, right? Yes. Do you understand what's happening? We work and pay taxes. And what do they do? Listen, a friend of mine, his son works with pumps for machinery. He needed a worker. A guy showed up. "Yes, I'll work for you." "Okay, go to work." "But you know, I don't want to work legally." "But I can't hire you if you are going to work illegally. If someone comes and starts an inspection, starts asking questions, I'll be in trouble." Ah, then I won't work. I can't work legally. Why? They want to work off the books. Off the books because they receive the reddito di cittadinanza, universal basic income, 600, 700, 800 euros a month, understand? And he wants to earn an additional 5, 10, 100 euros doing under-the-table work. Truck drivers, there aren't enough truck drivers. There aren't enough workers. There is a shortage everywhere. If they're not in Italy, where did they go? There is a shortage because they don't want to work. They just receive the universal basic income. So the government created incentives not to work through the universal basic income. Get it? That's what they've done. Another guy, we know him well, from Romania. He was a shepherd, herding sheep in Sardinia. He quit that job and applied for the universal basic income, reddito di cittadinanza. Then he went back to Romania and presented himself there as unemployed and starving person. He left the cart with another Romanian, Gigi, who would come by in an Audi Q8. Gigi withdrew that universal basic income money and sold that Audi to the first Romanian. Do you know how to change the situation? How? I'll tell you. Take one politician. I'll go with my truck and crane and hang him by the neck for everyone to see. But we're not in the 15th century. You'll see. Then they'll start getting things in order. Look at what we have now. Entire ships from Africa and other places land hundreds of people here every day. And they are paid. This way things can't be good in Italy, because Italy has to give them food, shelter, clothes, and pays them 35 euros a day. Me, a person who worked my entire life, I don't get 35 euros a day as a pension. No? How much do you get if it's not a secret? 800 euros a month. 800 euros a month. And I worked my whole life from the time I finished school until I retired. And I continue to work and continue to pay taxes. And they come, they are supported, and they are given money. And what do? They send this money back home. These are not the funds that continue circulating in the economy. These communists say, let's bring these people in. Later, we'll give them Italian citizenship to get their votes. That's what's happening. They're robbing Italy for their own pockets. During our journey from Romania and Bulgaria to Greece, Slovakia, Hungary, and finally Italy, Europe in the fire of populism reflected the natural resistance of people to the idea of a welfare state. Perhaps the rise of the right in Europe is a response to the extraordinary pressure of communist ideology, pressure that forces even honest and decent people to choose radical ideas. We see Europe at crossroads where old ideals collide with new challenges. We still have to find a Europe where the balance between freedom and justice is restored. But now Europe is going to face the darkest times since World War II.